Welcome to FRC Media News for Thursday, September 10th, 2020. I'm Keith Tebow. This week, the City Council reverses course and approves Mayor Paul Coogan's fiscal 2021 city budget. Despite COVID-19, the South Coast Rail Project continues to make progress, and we begin our preview of the November election with the proponents and opponents to Massachusetts ballot question number 1. We'll have that and more coming right up. The Florida City Council this week, by a 5-4 vote, approved a $312.6 million budget to fund the city for fiscal year 2021. Last week, the council voted 5-4 to reject Mayor Coogan's spending plan, complaining that there was not enough time to study the budget document, combined with concerns over using one-time money to fill budget holes. During the council's Finance Committee meeting, City Director of Financial Services Mary Sahadi presented the council with ways the city could either raise revenue or cut expenses to avoid using some $2 million from the city's stabilization account. Among the items up for discussion are raising parking meter fees from 25 cents to 50 cents, adding some additional parking meters across the city, raising parking fines from $20 to $25, eliminating trash pickup for local businesses, also eliminating trash pickup for many 6-tenement or larger residences, increasing fees for bulky item disposal, and increasing fees for building permits. Now, some of the budget measures being considered could be in place as early as November. Mrs. Sahadi also said up for discussion is the return for some version of a trash fee.
Still up for discussion by far. Still a lot of work to do on it if we were to implement it. But in the center of page 2, you'll see that we just analyzed how many units we do have and whether it would be a $5 fee or a $10 fee and what that would generate for revenue to the city. And again, at this point, we have no ability to really estimate who's going to opt out. Mr. Perry's got a lot of information from when we implemented this the last time, or when actually, I believe it was Mayor Sutter that implemented this, correct?
And Mr. Pacheco.
Oh, and Mr. Pacheco too, that's right. So we've got a lot of work that would need to be done on this. The implementation of this, if it were to happen, would have to be a bit later in the year so that it gets rolled out properly before we rush into adding this particular fee.
Councilor Pamela Liberty LeBeau was the councilor who changed her vote to ensure passage of the budget. She said she is satisfied by the moves made by the administration in finding ways to balance the budget.
So I had met with the mayor and told him that in order to support the budget, I needed to see some savings, and I needed to see some revenues, and I didn't want to see any cuts, and certainly no cuts to public safety. So I was happy to meet with him, and happy that Councilor Dion was willing to go in and ahead of the finance meeting and share everything that she has put together. I'll let her talk about that more, but I have to say she did an incredible amount of work. I don't know how long. That took weeks to put it all together, but she has come up with both savings and revenues. So, there are things that can be done. You don't have to vote on something that's in front of you the first time just because you think that that's all there is, and that's not the case.
Schools in Fall River open next week, with students beginning work remotely on Wednesday and then morphing into a hybrid model beginning on Thursday. There continues to be concern by educators and parents as to the effectiveness of students learning remotely. Denise Pumagwaye tells us of an initiative by the United Way and United Neighbors of Fall River to provide support for students and their families to succeed.
One of the first things we want to do is to create learning pods in buildings that are around the community so that kids that would otherwise be home during the time they're working remotely would have a safe place and a proctored place, not a teacher, but a caring adult who's a mentor or a coach to help them as they are logging on. Right away, People Incorporated has stepped up and they have been able to promise 2 pods. We're working with the school system the same way to triage the families that need it the most. We have like 5 different things we're working on. How the business community is going to respond for their employees' kids and for their families. How service providers are going to be able to offer support. If you work for Child and Family Service, what do you do with your kids? So how can service providers, what's the best practices there? Obviously, the pods are the most important. Best practices for middle school and high school kids, and that committee is also going to look to best practices for parents that are helping their children with remote learning.
We're also talking with the local colleges with sort of picking the brains of ideas where college kids who might be at home now learning remotely themselves or have taken a gap year, how can we sort of engage them in supervising, mentoring, coaching, maybe even continuing to get college credit by taking this opportunity for fulfilling their internship.
One of the other initiatives that we're working on is how can we strengthen the skills for middle school and high school kids that might be home with siblings? How can we talk a little bit about first aid, kids CPR, when do you call 911? Denise, the bottom line is we are united and we're going to do this. We're going to figure it out.
We know of the toll COVID-19 has taken on individuals, businesses, and state and local governments. One project not severely hampered by the pandemic is South Coast Rail. Project manager Gene Fox says for the first time, residents are seeing real progress in extending rail service to Fall River.
The first major construction contract that went out was the Fall River secondary line, which is why you are seeing this activity. We also had a lot of work in the area with, again, the culverts. There were a lot of culverts done in Fall River. And there was soil moving. So we have a big soil moving protocol, and we have to fill at Weaver's Cove. So we're taking soil from other areas and putting it over there. We're doing all the environmental buffering right now because obviously living where we are, there are a lot of wetlands and we need to be vigilant in terms of protecting those. So what you're also seeing, and you have seen, is some minor track and tie replacements, but you're going to see a lot more as the fall progresses and into next year. There'll be a great deal of activity, and it's actually all related now to that contract that has been let, and it was officially let in June. And the second notice to proceed, and that's a COVID thing. The first notice to proceed was make sure you have all your safety protocols in place. We want them documented, approved, and signed. And then we'll allow you the second notice to proceed, which allows you to get in the field. They have that.
Ms. Fox says much of the construction taking place on the Fall River Depot and other elements of the project will continue into 2023.
It took us forever just to get through all of the environmental review, the MEPA and NEPA processes, which is probably totally alien to most people, but that's the permitting process. When we got through that, and thankfully we got to the point where we had money set aside, COVID, albeit out there, we had money absolutely allocated for South Coast Rail. So to know that what you're looking at in that station design is a final 100% design and the way we're going to proceed is extremely exciting. The other thing for North Fall River, which may be of interest, is right down the road in Assonet is a secondary station, which will be very helpful for people who don't want to go into the depot. And the third thing folks should know is that Route 79 work is going to be progressing. So the boulevard between Memorial Bridge and the Spaghetti Ramp Braga Bridge project will open up economic development activities by clearing some land and then lowering the roadway so that there's a direct access into the depot.
The South Coast Rail project is on schedule to begin to provide service to Fall River beginning in late 2023. We'll have more FRC Media News right after this.
Here are some job descriptions on the latest top jobs list from the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center. Cook, Boston Market, located at 30 12th Street, is looking for a part-time cook, responsible for making sure that hot, fresh gourmet side items, pot pies, soups, and other products are available at all times the restaurant is open. Job number 139-70249. Geriatric physician. Landmark Health has an immediate need for a full-time geriatric physician in the Fall River area to function as day-to-day clinical leader, provide decision support to nurse practitioners, and directing the multidisciplinary team. Job number 139-75619. 6th grade science teacher. Argosy Charter School, located at 263 Hamlet Street, is seeking a full-time 6th grade science teacher to instruct students in a subject-specific classroom, creating lesson plans and teaching using lectures and technology. Job number 139-65613. Blount Fine Foods, located at 363 Highland Avenue, is in need of the following full and part-time positions. Director of Talent Acquisition, job number 139-68931. Food Service Quality Assurance Supply Manager, job number 139-68932. Bristol Community College, located at 777 Elsbury Street, also is in need of the following full and part-time positions. Substance Abuse Counselor, job number 139-72286. Business Administration, job number 139-72303. For more information on these or other positions, visit Mass Hire JobQuest at jobquest.dcs.eol.mass.gov or call the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
Welcome back. We're a little less than 2 months away from the state and federal election on November 3rd. And with early voting by mail this year, we wanted to get a jump on some of the candidates and the issues in the race. Now, Massachusetts voters will be facing 2 ballot initiatives on November 3rd. Today, we want to look at question 1, the right to repair. Now, this initiative is a complement to a law passed by voters in 2012 and the legislature in 2013, calling for car manufacturers to provide repair information to independent auto mechanics. The initiative this year looks to build upon that law, seeking information on vehicle diagnostics currently being collected wirelessly by manufacturers. Tommy Hickey represents yes on question 1, and he says independent mechanics are at a disadvantage in accessing real-time mechanical information available only to car dealers.
Fast forward to 8 years, there's now a loophole in the law. In the 2012 law, there was something carved out called remote diagnostics. You may be called telematics as well. And basically, that's any wireless communication. So by 2020, this year, 90% of new cars will be able to diagnose cars remotely. And that is carved out of the 2012 law. So moving forward, cars are like computers on wheels. They're able to diagnose cars. That is carved out of the law, which jeopardizes a consumer's right to get their car fixed if they want and leaves independent repair shops kind of in the dust as technology moves forward. Right now, your new cars in 2020 with telematic systems, they're able to diagnose the car remotely. Like you said, the old way of plugging in the car is the OBD port. You would diagnose the car and you would get your car fixed. Now you can do things remotely. So car manufacturers are getting all this wireless real-time repair information straight to their cloud. And the independent repair shop and the owner aren't able to access that information. So what this ballot initiative would do would give all the repair information, the real-time diagnostic repair information wirelessly straight to the owner of the car, and they can choose the dealership or independent repair shop of the choice that would get that repair information.
Connor Units represents those opposed to question 1. He says independent car mechanics are already guaranteed to receive all repair information from manufacturers.
It's been law now for 7 years. It works very well. I think the local repair shops would tell you that it works very well. And it protects and ensures that consumers in Massachusetts can get their vehicles fixed wherever they want, whatever repair shop they want. It ensures that local repair shops, dealer repair shops, do-it-yourselfers with the appropriate tools can access any information needed to diagnose and repair a vehicle. It even covers this telematics issue. It very specifically says if there's any information needed for the diagnosis and repair of a vehicle, and it's transmitted primarily telematically, and it's available to dealer repair shops, then it must be made available to independent repair shops. So it's that issue is covered in that law. What question one would do is go much further than actual right to repair. Question one would enable any third party that gets access to your vehicle to access it whenever they want, from wherever they want. It wouldn't be just when your car is in the shop. It could be somebody sitting at home on a laptop accessing your vehicle, including your real-time GPS location data. So this question is really all about information. It would distort what right to repair actually is, and really a no vote is a vote to protect right to repair because it would keep the law as it is.
Mr. Unit says the initiative would be a threat to people's privacy by having their vehicle information available to anyone remotely. He also says those who support the initiative are large auto supply companies looking for specialized driver data.
You'll see that they've received 99.9% of their funds from two national groups, ACA and a group called CARE. What you won't see, and what you'll only see if you watch their television advertisement, is that their top 5 donors include $35 billion O'Reilly Automotive and $27 billion AutoZone, which are really the companies driving this effort. The AutoZone VP of Government Relations is also the head of CARE, which is the group that's contributed all these millions of dollars to the Question One effort. So these are national companies. These are Wall Street-backed VC firms, publicly traded, billion-dollar companies that are driving and completely funding this effort in Massachusetts. It's not really about local repair shops, and that is the cover that they're hiding behind.
Mr. Hickey says opponents to the ballot initiative are focused on a privacy issue that does not exist.
It strictly prohibits this law to just mechanical information, which is information necessary to diagnose, maintain, and repair the car. This is not any private information. This is not GPS location. This is not driver habits. This is what you would ultimately get from the OBD port, which is what the law currently states right now. So we see this as a scare tactic. They have not once talked about our bill, the merits of our bill. They use a California bill that went down in 2014, which is a much more comprehensive bill and had nothing to do, again, with our bill. They challenged our signatures. They actually challenged the legality of our bill with the Attorney General. And everyone comes back saying this is not only a legal bill, but this is a consumer choice bill to give the information to the owner. Last I checked, repair information wasn't a secret, and if I bought the car, I should get all the information necessary to fix it.
One final look now back at last week's state primary. It wasn't until Friday before it was determined that Jake Auchincloss had won the Democratic nomination for the Massachusetts 4th Congressional District seat being vacated by Congressman Joseph Kennedy. His main opponent, Jessie Mermel, used her concession video to congratulate Mr. Auchincloss while also sharing her concerns of the need for better oversight of the ballot tabulation process, particularly in this year of increased mail ballots caused by COVID-19.
The people of Massachusetts need to have faith that their ballots will be counted, particularly when we have a president bent on confusing, lying, and this week encouraging illegal voting. We need to set a clear example here in Massachusetts of how you get it right. I hope that the confusion and unanswered questions around this election can be a moment of reflection, outside of politics and outside of the live or die nature of campaigns. I hope my opponents in this race, the clerks, Secretary Galvin, legislative leaders, and the governor will see that there are some strong signals here that despite everyone's best efforts, we might not be ready for November, and the clerks in particular need our support. Voting by mail is wonderful. Expanding turnout and participation in our democracy is wonderful. And yet we have to live up to a better standard if we're going to continue to say that every vote should count.
The Women's Center at Bristol Community College has played a key role in bringing awareness to some of the social justice issues women are facing across the country, as well as promoting the 100-year anniversary of the right for women to vote. Denise Pumagwaye has the story.
Tell me a little bit about the last forum that you guys held.
The Women's Center was part of a series that's done by the Multicultural Center, the Social Justice Forum, and they've had that as a response to many of the injustices that have occurred in our world. The last one was on race and women's rights. So the Women's Center co-led that with them, and I presented on the topic as well as moderated a panel on the topic. And it was very fitting because the mission of Bristol Community College Women's Center is to provide a safe space of empowerment through advocacy and education. So this was a perfect opportunity to look at how gender intersects with race in all other sectors, class, culture. And so we had a very interesting conversation on the topic, looking at a historical perspective and bringing it to the current day. So this is a very interesting year because it celebrates the 100th anniversary of women's right to vote, which is exciting. So we spoke about that during the forum, but we also spoke about how within that, not all women were given the right to vote. That was really more of a celebration for white women, and women of color, especially women of color in the South, did not get the rights to vote until many years later. So the forum spoke about the racism that existed within the abolitionist movement, as well as the sexism that existed within even the feminist movement, that some women were giving some rights and some weren't, depending on the class and so forth. We are definitely advocating, the Women's Center, as well as the college as a whole, is advocating for everyone to go out and vote and really look at the different issues that are being addressed in legislation and make sure we make educated decisions. And we gave examples of that. For instance, the Equal Rights Amendment, that was first introduced in 1923 with Allison Paul. The National Women's Party proposed that. And still in this current day, it still hasn't been adopted in Congress. So we're still fighting for a lot of the inequalities that exist that impact women. So it's important that women go out and vote and also support other women, look at what their stance are on different topics. And this year, absolutely go out and vote, go out and fill out the census, because every action counts.
We'll have more FRC Media News right after this.
Thank you for considering a homeless pet today. I hope you enjoy what you're about to see, and as always, please feel free to contact the shelter before coming down to make sure that the pets you're viewing are still available for adoption. We can be reached at 508-677-9154.
Hi, welcome to Hot Dogs and Cool Cats. Today we have Tommy. Tommy here, he's about 6.5. He is a very friendly cat, as you can tell right now. He loves his attention. So if you've got like a family at home, you know, young kids, that kind of stuff, he is used to that. With other cats, he should do okay with them. Dogs, maybe it's a hit or miss. It kind of depends on the personality. He definitely could stand to lose weight. In fact, he should lose weight as he ages. It's going to be a lot of stress on his body. Who would make a great addition to a wide variety of homes. So if you'd like to meet Tommy, you can come down to 300 Linwood Street in Fall River, Massachusetts at Forever Paws Animal Shelter.
Today we have Oswald. Oswald is an 8-year-old pit bull terrier. As you can see, there's lots of him to love. But he is the biggest love bug in the world, so that's not a difficult thing to do. Oswald was a stray from New Bedford. He was found wandering around a homeless compound. But he clearly was someone's pet at some point because he's neutered and he knows some commands. Can you shake? Good boy. Paw. How about the other one? Good job. He loves the butt scratches. So if you give him a good butt scratch, he'll be your best friend in the world. So if you're interested in Oswald, head on over to foreverpaws.com, fill out an application, and once we process it and everything's approved, we can give you a call. You can come on in and meet this really handsome guy.
We're all coming together again to learn this fall. And we all have a role to play to keep our community healthy. This also means kids should stay at home if they're not feeling well. If we all do our part, our schools and communities will be safer for everyone. Learn more at mass.gov/backtoschool.
That's all for this edition of FRC Media News. Please check out our website, frmedia.org, for all the latest news and information, as well as our latest Channel 95 program schedule. FRC Media News airs Thursdays at 6 p.m. and Fridays at 5:30 p.m. For all of us here at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next Thursday.